Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I finally ordered a large number of CPU trays from PCBWay to sort, categorize and store my CPU collection. And today I want to show what I found while looking through my Intel Pentiums. So yeah, I did get some of these CPU trays. I already had some of them in the past, but they were not enough. So I asked PCBWay, please send me some more, and they did. More about PCBWay services later on, but they are sponsoring this video, so thank you so much in advance. And here we have a tray filled with Pentium CPUs. There are two gold caps. They are not that common. Both are rated for 75 megahertz. You can see that maybe here in the top center, 75. But also this one here is a 75 megahertz, but this is a pure ceramic CPU. Oh, it's double actually. So I have twins of each of them. Then we have a 90, 90, 100, 100. Then we have 120s here. And then here we have 133, 150, 166, 200, 233, and another 233. So these are my ceramic Pentiums. I still have more, but yeah, those still have some work that have to be done on them. So yeah, this is not a Pentium, but yeah, I just want to show you how the pins look like when I pick them up at the scrapyard. This one looks quite decent. This one is also 75 megahertz. Maybe there's just something I haven't checked this one. But then you have, so here's a boxed version, and you can see how these pins look like. So yeah, this is probably maybe 1.5 hours of work to get all these pins straightened. This is a 133 megahertz version. Yeah, I have it. It's not really interesting. I guess it is interesting because as you can see here, it's stamped into the back of the CPU, I133. I think I have the 133 megahertz on the other tray, which is this one here. So if you look at this one, you see it just says IPP, Intel Pentium processor. So Intel had a problem with fake CPUs in the past, and then one of the remedies was to print the frequency in this metal piece that is attached to the back of the CPU. So yeah, it's probably not worth to straighten these pins. Some of them may say yes, some of them may say no. I already have it, so here's another IPP. This is a 166 megahertz version. This also looks like it was a boxed version without the Intel Pentium print on the top, the white. I think here sometimes you see also that there was something attached to the CPU. So this is usually the thermal glue that they add, and you can remove it, but it's a lot of work. And here's another 133 megahertz CPU that, well, also looks quite good. So yeah, I still haven't checked all of them, but yeah, most of them look like this, like at least a section of them. And when they're really bad, then they look like this. Yeah. Anyway, so what do I do when I get them and I straighten the pins? Well, I go ahead and usually I have to clean off some thermal paste. So what I usually do, I'll take one of the CPUs, take some isopropyl alcohol, and go ahead and clean the CPU. And then usually, of course, depending on how dirty or full of thermal paste the CPU is, you will see it on the cloth. Well, this one was cleaned by me properly. Recently, when I tried to clean up all these CPUs, I noticed something strange with the CPU. Let's take these two CPUs. They are the ones with MMX technology. And let's have a look what happens when I clean the surface. This is the 200 megahertz version. Let's make sure there is nothing on the top. Okay, now let the alcohol evaporate, but then the top is very clean and you can see there is nothing on the towel. So this was pretty clean, the CPU. So let's clean this one here. This is a 233 megahertz version. Isopropyl alcohol, and let's make sure there's nothing on the CPU. Okay. Looks nice and clean. And what did we get? Huh? Was it that dirty? This didn't look that bad. Let's try that again. What? Again? Well, but now the CPU is clean, for sure. Now nothing has to come off. What? Huh. Why does it rub off the color of the ceramic top? Well, for those of you who are familiar with fake Intel CPUs, you may already know where this is going. First of all, Intel never released the Pentium MMX at 233 MHz with a ceramic body, the CPGA, Ceramic Pin Grid Array. So this CPU did not leave Intel like that. It is still most likely a real Intel CPU, but it is not a 233 MHz version. So if you have seen my tray here, there is another CPU, 233 MHz, Intel Pentium with MMX technology. So is this fake too? Well, we clearly have a sticker on it that probably was a distributor. I am not sure if this distributor was aware that this is a potential fake CPU. But it says you have a warranty on it and it's voided if you remove this sticker. And can we make out some date codes here? So I guess 1998 is ticked here. And yeah, then there's just a number here, 348. But I guess this CPU was sold in 1998. And by the way, somebody seems to have signed this CPU. I don't know. Was it one of the people who faked it, gave it an autograph? I don't know. But this CPU is most likely fake too, because it is a ceramic body and it is a 233 MHz version. Now, I do not want to go into the entire story. If you want to know the story about fake Intel CPUs, then I highly suggest to watch Peter's video over at CPU Galaxy, because he explains what happened exactly. So I will not get into this, but I will link the video in the top right corner. So this one rubs off. The ceramic somehow rubs off, and this is because this CPU was coated with a ceramic color substance, this purple color here, and then they just added the printing here one more time with a laser. We'll look at this under the microscope in a moment, how this looks compared to a real Intel CPU. This CPU, the 200 MHz SL2RY, is a genuine CPU as far as I can tell. Now, of course, there are always different colors. I don't know if you can spot the difference here on the camera. These two look quite similar, but if I put them next to each other, you see that there are differences. So on the bottom now are all real ones. I'm assuming this is also a real one. This is a 133 MHz version. So yeah, just because the color is different doesn't necessarily mean they are fake. So yeah, we will have a look at it, and maybe when we're looking through the microscope, we will figure out some new clues how to spot fake Intel Pentium processors. Let's just make sure this one doesn't rub off. Yeah, there is nothing rubbing off. So let's try our new candidate here. This one here we already tried. I know this because it has a small damage here on the top. So this is the one that I rubbed on before. Let's check this one. Let's see if this one rubs off. It does, but only so slightly. So it does rub off. But this one here is a much better fake compared to this one. And we will see that also under the microscope. I already checked it, but it's very fascinating. So I hope you're excited to look a little bit at fake Intel CPUs today. By the way, they all come from the scrapyard. So I picked them up in the trash. And that's great because now I can make this video. As I said, Peter already made a video and he also scratched off the coating of these CPUs and then you could see what's underneath. This was most likely an Intel Pentium 166. I don't know, I can't verify it. It could be a 200 version like this one here, but they were expensive. The 166 version was a lot cheaper, and if you relabel them, well, you can bag the difference between a 166 versus a 233 megahertz version, and this was your profit, and that is why people did it. I rubbed this one here 3 times, so let's rub this one more time, but this time maybe a little bit stronger, that we see more of the coating come off. Initially, I thought I have a very special CPU because this one looks really good. It looked like an original one. Even I think the laser engraving looks really good under the microscope. But as you can see here, it definitely rubs off. So yeah, unfortunately, this is a fake CPU too. So yeah, we definitely have 2 of them. I don't know if they are stable at 233 megahertz. We are going to find that out soon. And these ones all seem to be legit, even though they have all different colors. So I think, okay, these 2 have a very similar color. But now I guess it's time to figure out what motherboard we are going to use. And I'll put these ones aside now. And specifically for this purpose, I made sure to get a red tray to put my fake CPUs in. So yeah, let's see if they even will work in the system that I will show you right now. But before we get into this, I want to thank PCBWay for sponsoring this video. As I mentioned before, all these trays came from PCBWay, and without their help I wouldn't be able to get this done. As I understand, these CPU trays require a larger print bed than most consumer printers provide, and that is why it is great to have PCBWay as a service provider who can fulfill requests like this. But you probably know that PCBWay is not only offering 3D printing services. As the name suggests, they are also quite big in PCB manufacturing. In fact, I ordered many PCBs from PCBWay for my projects, and they were always of the highest quality. If you're interested, you can find my projects over at PCBWay's shared project space, where you can order your batch of PCBs directly from PCBWay's website. And if you want to explore other services, you can check out CNC machining, sheet metal fabrication, and injection molding. So, if you're looking for a partner for your next projects, check out PCBWay.com. Links are in the video description. For our experiments today, we definitely need a motherboard that is capable of supporting all these CPUs. And I think I want to try to overclock those fake Pentiums a little bit. Maybe this will give us a better idea how stable they run. But I need a board that allows me to have fine adjustments of the front side bus. Now this board supports the most I have seen so far for socket 7 and super socket 7, or at least the ones that I have. So we have a few possibilities here which we will try later once we have the fake CPUs on that board. But it gives me also the opportunity to test this board. I have never powered it on, so yeah, let's try this board with a Pentium 166. I'm pretty certain that this CPU at least is genuine. And yeah, I just have to install the cooler here. These CPUs will get a little bit hot, and yeah, the thermal paste is necessary for these CPUs. I don't want to overheat any of them, so let's put a blob of thermal paste there and install the cooler. And this is it. Now I will assemble the rest of the board and then we will try to get into Windows 98. Okay, let's power on the board. Okay, we are off to a good start. Okay, we are getting stuck at C6. External cache size detection. Do we have a problem with cache? But it's soldered to the board. Okay, all I did now was to reflow the cache chip. I didn't expect this to work, but I checked the board front and back. There are almost no scratches. There is just one little dent somewhere, but this does not affect any of the traces. So yeah, I reflowed the cache chip. And guess what? It was a problem with the cache chip. Unfortunately, I didn't record it. I didn't set up my equipment. I really didn't think it will help, but I guess this is it. The board seems to be working. Yeah, let's set it up quickly and go into Windows. Okay, so now we're under the microscope. Before we start with looking at the fake chips, the ones that rubbed off the surface of their coating, I want to first look at the real CPUs. At least I hope that all of them I'm showing you right now are genuine Intel Pentium CPUs. So if we look at this one here, this is a 75 megahertz version. So this is the A8050275. This is the model number, the SX969. And then you have a few other details in here. But let's focus on the white print and also on the laser engraving. So for this, let's go a little bit closer and have a look how the print looks like. So, okay, this one here is not covering the entire surface. It does have some spots left out. By the way, here's the tip of my tweezers. So yeah, this is a big magnification. Oh, and you can see we can actually, can we damage it? Yes, we can. So it's not indestructible. Let me check if we can remove these scratches here or not. No, they are permanent. So yeah, maybe let's not scratch more CPUs. Okay. All right. So just for you to get an idea how this looks like, I highly doubt there are any fake Intel Pentium 75 CPUs out there because, well, this is the lowest model that we have access to. And now here you see this imprint, this A, and you can see how the laser was going from line to line. So this is something that I think could potentially identify a fake CPU. Basically, you see A consists of two lines. First, they did the arch, and then they made the bar across on the A. You can see this because the line across is covering the arch. I need to take smaller tweezers. I can't really point. Oh, they're not that much smaller, but anyway. So the crater is where it stops, and you can see that here because the bar across, if it would have gone in the other direction, you wouldn't get that build up here at the end of the crater or that surrounding of that crater. At least this is what I believe. So that also means the 8 stopped here. This was where the laser stopped. So you will get a lot of ideas where the laser started and where it stopped. So most likely it started here in the middle and it went all around and stopped here. So then here we have a 0. Again, we have 2 craters. We started here, we made, so let's say in the center here, it went around and stopped, and then it lasered the diagonal line here. And the 5, it is just one line, it's just a continuous line, and it stopped here. And so on. And you see the 0, again, the same pattern as before. It starts on the left, and it goes around and stops here, and then it makes this cross to the right top, the diagonal line. The 2 is one line, The 7, interestingly, are 2 lines. So let's look at, what else can you look? Okay, we don't have the iComp index on all CPUs, so we'll ignore that. But obviously you can look there as well. So for instance, the O is lasered exactly like the 0. You start somewhere here on the left side and then you make one round. It may actually not start in the center, actually. I see it may have just started here on the top and it just went around and then it stopped here. Interesting. What we should have on every CPU, let's dial down the light a little bit, is the Intel copyright 1992, 1993 or 1995 edged into the ceramic. So we can also find out how Intel lasered its name into the surface. So the first line was the bottom one. It started from the left and went to the right. Then the column was lasered from the bottom to the top. You can see here the crater is starting here. And then we go from left to right. So we have 3 lines in the eye. The N was lasered in, it looks like 3 lines. First we start the left part. So we start with this one here. We go up. Then it's difficult. Either from top left. This doesn't look like a crater to me. This one looks maybe there was a crater here and then they went down here. So maybe here was a crater. The problem is I don't see a crater on this line. So it may have been overwritten by this line that goes then from bottom to top. And here is the crater. So here Intel covered 3 lines. I can see the crater starting here a little bit. And I think then it went down here. It is just completely, it melted over it. So then here again, so the T, we start from the bottom to the top. But this time, actually, the T, the top line was the first one. So we went from left to right, and then it lasered from bottom to top. And finally, we have the E. And the E started from the top right. So we went from here down and we stopped here. And then it lasered the center part of the E and stopped here. And then finally the L is just one line, which goes like this. So like this, you know how Intel configured their laser to write the numbers and letters on the surface of the ceramic body. Let's have a look at another CPU. So for this, I need to zoom out. This is now we have way too much light here. This is again an Intel Pentium, but you may spot already that the print here is a lot different. This, by the way, is a Intel Pentium 100. So just for comparison. Okay, and then we look at this one. Looks pretty similar from the laser engraving quality, I would say. But let's start with a white print. So here you can see that the white color covers a lot more than it did on the other CPU. Let's increase the light again. So you have way less of these small islands that were just left out compared to the previous one. Yes, there are sometimes some parts that were missed. Oh, I'm scratching the CPU again, so let's not do that. But yeah, so again, a print of Intel Pentium on a ceramic CPU. So how does our laser engraving look like? Okay, so we see something very similar, I think. Look at the 8. The 8 started somewhere here in the middle, it went around and it stopped here. I think we remember this. The 0 looks familiar. It started here on the top, went around and did this. The 5, the 2. So this 2 almost looks like maybe it's 2 pieces actually. Look at this. So maybe first we did this and then it started a second one and went to the right. We don't see the crater here on the bottom because it is basically over melted by the line on the bottom. We had a 2 on the other CPU as well. Let's double check this. And yes, actually that could be true. These are 2 lines. So, okay, maybe I misinterpreted this before. So let's look how Intel was lasered into this CPU. This is the Pentium 100. So first we have the I at the bottom, then we go up, then we go right. I think this was the same. Then we have the N, and yes, here you can see now it's 3 different lines. First we go from the bottom to the top, it stopped here. Then we go from here to the bottom, and then like this. And again, the T, yes, this was something that I messed up. First the T, the top was lasered, and then the center part was lasered. So what do we have here? So see this? This is the other CPU. First the top part was lasered, and then the center part goes over the top part. Same as on this CPU. So the top part was lasered first, and then the center. E. The E also. Same thing. First we have the C that is lasered, and then we have the middle part. And L was just one continuous line. So now, while we have this in mind, fresh in mind, let's look at one of my fake CPUs. And now you will be like, oh my god, that's so fake. Let's have a look. So I have absolutely no words. So definitely we can tell that there are some problems here. The T, for instance. So the T was lasered the center part first, but then the top part was lasered over the center part. This is not the case on genuine Intel CPUs. So if you look at the T, the center part covers the top part. Also, I think if you look at the I, so the order is bottom, center, top. Let's check. Bottom, center, top. They got that right. So first bottom, then center, then top. The N, left, right. You don't see the craters that easily here, but the T is definitely wrong. And look at the E. They first lasered the center and then the C, the one around it, basically. So first this one and then this one. So the original part has this centerpiece lasered after the C was lasered. So clearly not the same method, and overall the laser quality is a lot worse. Remember the 0? I mean, this one I showed you already. So first of all, the diagonal line here was lasered before the 0 was done, and you do not see, I don't know, where it starts, where it finishes. So most likely in one of these deeper craters, it just stopped, but I really can't tell right now. Look at the 5. The 5 also looks pretty bad. And the 8. And the A. Do we have an A here? Yes, we have an A. So the A here is made of 3 lines. First one was the bar across. Then it lasered this one here, and then it lasered this one. So let's see. The A here, I can already see there's a difference. Well, this one here, I'm not sure if it really was maybe 2 lines or 1 line, but definitely the bar across was the last that was printed. But on our fake CPU, the bar across was the first that was printed. Okay, so let's look at the second fake CPU, which I believe they did no, we didn't look at the printing yet. Sorry, I forgot. Okay, let's go back to the previous CPU. So this is the okay, so now you see the damage actually. So what you see here, this is the original color here of the CPU. And then you have this coating which covers the top surface of the entire CPU, and they recreated the Intel logo in white, even the copyright, and then the Pentium text. Anyway, this one here does not happen. This damage here does not happen on a ceramic CPU. This can't happen. So I could go ahead and scratch off more of this, but not in this video. If you want me to try and get to unveil what's under this new engraving, I have to do this what Peter did in his video. But you have to let me know in the comments if you want me to leave it as is, just to preserve a piece of history, or no, or you tell me, no, let's go ahead and scratch off the surface of this coating and let's have a look what Intel originally printed on the ceramic body. Yeah, this 8 looks a little bit questionable. I think the laser just took off some of the coating here. I can scratch off stuff here. Let's have a look at the second one. That's definitely a fake because it also rubs off the color, and it is a 233 megahertz version, which Intel never released on ceramic. I don't even think there is any 233 megahertz ceramic CPU from Intel. So yeah, I think the Intel logo, again, like before, it's quite difficult to spot. Let's see, this is the original one. And this one here is the fake one. So they did really well. Now, this looks like a... Oh, no, this is just a hair. Okay. So, let's have a look at the laser print, because this definitely looks a lot better than the other fake CPU. Just for a reminder, look at this. Okay, just have a look at this fake CPU. And now let's have a look at this. So this one, definitely these guys had a lot better equipment, but we will be able to figure out what's going on here. The 0, wow. This one is exactly like the Intel one. First, the outer ring, and then from left bottom to top right. But I think if you can see, that coating burned away. So you have that, I don't know, this outer glow around the laser. That's interesting. Wait a second. Let's have a look at the original one. So here's an original one. Yeah, you don't see that border around it. It's just directly into the ceramic. It's burned into the ceramic. Whereas here, you can see that you have... So this is probably the coating, the lighter one. And then under it, you will start seeing the original color of the ceramic. That is interesting. But definitely, these guys did a way better job to laser in these numbers. Let's have a look at the 2. Okay, let's add a little bit more light here. Maybe I have to zoom out a little bit to see more of the picture. So the 2, we start on the top here. We go down, and here most likely is our crater, and then we go to the right. And also see how the crater looks different. It's just a small dot. Let's have a look at the original Pentium 200. No, this is the 100. Oh no, I didn't check the 200 yet. I only had a 75, but here is a 2. So this is on our Pentium 100. And the 2 is also in the same way. So we start on the top left, and then we go down and stop here, and then we go to the right. Same as they did here. So they started here, went down, and then like this. So let's have a look at the Intel logo. I think this started bottom, then up, then right. They went up and down and up. They made from left to right, and then from bottom to top, the T. Let's see. They exactly match the laser. Look at this. From left to right, bottom to top. Left to right, bottom to top. The E. First. This one, I can't tell if these are two different ones or not. I guess this is because the craters are so small here, but they mimicked exactly the same way that Intel did with the laser. So that's very interesting. So we have one very poor fake that looks like this, and we have an excellent fake, which I could only tell by that small border that's around the new engraving. Crazy. Okay, let's have a look at one more CPU. I want to look at another Pentium with MMX technology, but this time it is a 200 megahertz version. Let's see if we can spot something that's odd. So the A is going around and then we have the top part over it. So I think this looks very similar to what we had before. Yes, and yes, there are differences. I mean, Intel manufacture their CPUs in different countries, and sometimes they may have had different equipment. But as you can see here, for instance, the 8 definitely started here in the center, went around, then went over it, and then stopped here. And you cannot see any border around the numbers. It's directly lasered onto the ceramic. And the 0, yeah, familiar pattern. The 5, here the craters are a lot smaller. And you can see here we have 1995. And the other one, I think this was 1993. So I'm pretty sure this is a process upgrade. Let's see, so we have here apostrophes. So we go from bottom to top, bottom to top. This is our Pentium 75. So yeah, also bottom to top. But yeah, these numbers look a lot nicer. So this laser engraving did improve. So let's quickly look at the Intel text. So yeah, you can see that first we are printing the bottom bar, then the center bar, and then the top bar. The N is like this, and then this, and then this. T, we first start here, and then we go up. The E, we first make the C basically, and then we make the middle bar here. And the L is one line that just goes around the corner. So yeah, I am pretty confident that this CPU is real. This CPU is real. A 200 megahertz Pentium with MMX. There are no ceramic 233 megahertz CPUs from Intel. This one with a damage here across the T. This one will go on our motherboard now. I already set up the motherboard and we had a Pentium 166 in there. The CPU was used to just set up the board. I will configure the board now for 233 megahertz, and then we will see what is going to happen with my two fake CPUs. Okay, I think I set up everything correctly. Let's see if the system even powers on. Yes. Yes. Pentium MMX 233. Okay. We are in Windows. Let's see. Do we get some information from Everest? So we definitely have a P55C, that is correct. We have a B1 stepping. Unfortunately, we will not see what frequency the CPU is rated for, and I cannot see any temperature right now. Let's see sensors. Yeah, nothing shows up. So let's quickly see what CPU C is going to tell us. And we should have the MMX instruction set, and yes, we do. So we have everything that looks like a Pentium MMX. we have it running at 233 megahertz, but it is a ceramic version, so this CPU doesn't exist. But yeah, it looks like the CPU is working. Let's run a benchmark quickly. And yes, so it does perform better. Now I think we should probably have a look at Prime 95. This is a quite old version of Prime 95. I already set up the CPU settings here, so we have a Pentium 233, and now we'll just run the torture test. So I think we can stop this test now. I tested this before. It looks like that CPU at least finished one test completely. Now this will continue to run forever, but I don't want to spend too much time on this. I just want to see if the system is somewhat stable. Okay, so let's quickly look at a matrix that I created. So here we just have the frontside bus frequency that is supported by the motherboard, and here we have the multiplier. Currently we run at 66 megahertz and a multiplier of 3.5, which gives us the 233 megahertz. So for now I mark this as green, and we can move on to figure out another frequency. So the easiest one would be to just change the multiplier from 3.5 to 4, but that would give us an increase of 33 megahertz. That might be too big of a step. So let's see what other frequencies we have. The next thing would be we have to increase the frontside bus. But with 75 megahertz, we only get 225, which is lower than the one we already have. Then we could go 263, which is the same from here. So this is out for now. 83 megahertz, I think a multiplier of 3. This one could work out, so 250 megahertz, that might be something. But then if we go to 100 and a multiplier of 2.5, we get an exact 250 megahertz. I think this is the one that I want to try next. Let's try that. 250 megahertz. Oh. 250 megahertz. Okay, let's see if it's stable. Okay. We are in Windows. Can we load CPU Z? Yes, we can. 250 megahertz. So it looks like this one is working. But is it stable? So let's try Prime 95 and launch the torture test. So this one is running right now, 250, 275, but then we are pushing a lot higher with the front side bus. Can we go somewhere else? 270, no, there's nowhere 270. Next one would be probably 265 or something like that, or 266. This will probably be 266. I should really do change this and call this 66.6. Now we get the correct values here. So this would be 266. Maybe this is the next step. Go back to 66 megahertz frontside bus and try 266. So this is the next one. This one, at least we booted, and yeah, our system. Oh. What, because I moved the mouse? Really? Let's try this again. Yeah, and it fails again. So here we are, Prime 95 fails at 250 megahertz. So yeah, this one here is definitely a fail, and this is the end of the CPU, where we will not be able to push any further. But what we will still try now is 266 and see how the behavior changes. Can we complete a run in CPU C? Yes, we did complete, and I just noticed I picked the wrong CPU. This one was the one before, so maybe this is something you can compare to the other results that I took before. But now let's go to 266 megahertz. Yes! Oh. Okay, that's not right. That was 133. Oh. I think this is an invalid multiplier. So we can only go up to 3.5. That is the one that the CPU is allowed, or the Pentium MMX series cannot do 4. Okay, interesting. So yeah, we cannot go here. So this is out. I think this is what I'm going to try now, because everything else would push us into above 100 megahertz frontside bus. And I don't want to do this. So let's do 75 multiplier of 3.5. This is our next test. And we get 266 megahertz. Okay, so it's probably 75.5 or something. But let's see if we can get into Windows 98. And I think we are done. 250 we could still boot, but Prime 95 stopped at some point and could no longer finish the test. We are most likely hitting the ceiling already at 233. It was a frequency that I could go into Windows 98 and could run at least one of the torture tests in Prime 95, but everything after that was a no-go. There's another setting here, which is the last attempt. It will run the CPU at 75 megahertz and the HEP bus at 60 megahertz instead of 75. Let's see if that makes a difference. We are still at 266. But will it go any further? Oh, maybe. Oh. Well, it technically did go further. Oh. I pressed escape. Okay, so yeah, clearly there are problems. Now let me change the CPU with the other 233 megahertz version, and let's see how far we can push the CPU. But I already have a feeling that we will get very similar results. Well, let's find out. 233 megahertz, exactly like what is printed on the ceramic. Okay, and we are in Windows. Yes, here we are. And we are running at 233 megahertz. So let's jump directly into Prime 95. Let me just double check if I still have my Pentium. Yes, all selected. And let's start with the torture test. Okay, so a few minutes have passed and test 1 is still running. I think this looks very similar to our previous test with the other CPU. So I wouldn't be surprised if it passes test number 1. And then we can move on to overclock the CPU to 250 megahertz and probably get exactly the same behavior like on CPU number 1. And as expected, we passed one test run, and that means that this CPU behaves exactly like the first one so far. This test was successful. Time to go to 250 megahertz. And we are ready to test 250 megahertz with CPU number 2. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, 250 megahertz. Okay, and here we are. Test number 1 completed without errors. I guess this was our criteria. This one passed. We have another green spot for this CPU on the Excel sheet. So the next step was this one, I believe. This did not post with the other CPU, at least Windows didn't start. We have a ceramic CPU, an Intel Pentium with MMX technology running at Well, 263 megahertz. So the BIOS just shows it at 266. Let's see if we can complete a test with CPU C. This is something we couldn't do with the other CPU because we couldn't enter Windows. Well, and here's the result. So now the big question is, what is going on in Prime 95? And I can't believe it. We finished one test at 263 megahertz. 263 megahertz. We finished one test. So this one is a success. Should we try 275 at 110 megahertz frontside bus? I think the memory that I have in there should be capable of running with that speed. So let's do 110 at 2.5. No, it doesn't post. So this one is out. This one doesn't work. So the only other option now would be 95 megahertz frontside bus and a multiplier of 3. And unfortunately, no, it does not post. So yeah, unfortunately, also this one here doesn't work. I guess we hit the ceiling here at this CPU. So yeah, I think 263 is unfortunately the maximum that can be achieved with the CPU. At least this one seems to be better compared to the other one, the first one that we tested. This processor was able to finish one round of Prime 95 torture test at 263 megahertz. So honestly, I'm surprised, specifically with the second fake CPU, because there is a lot of headroom after the 233 megahertz. So I believe that this fake CPU will totally work. Maybe it depends on some certain workloads and it will not work stable in every workload. But yeah, I think I'm very happy about this fake CPU that we could only figure out by looking at how the laser engraving was, because we saw that small border around it where it burned off the coating that they applied. And we saw a different color shining through between the fake coating and the laser engraving. That was the only way to spot that this is a fake. Well, and of course the alcohol rub test. The alcohol rub test, if your CPU loses color with a white cloth, you can try your Intel Pentium CPUs, take some isopropyl alcohol, use a cloth and rub on it. If you see the purple coming off, your CPU is faked and relabeled. So yeah, the question is what models these are. It can only be a 166 or 200 megahertz model. Let me know in the comments if you want me to scratch off the coating or do you think no. Actually, let me create a poll in the community section where you can pick if you want me to scratch off the coating and see what is the original marking of those CPUs, or do you want me to keep them as is? And then we will see what we will do afterwards. Yeah, so this is up to you now. Let me know in the comments, and yeah, this is all I have for you today. And a big thank you to PCBWay for sponsoring this video and providing all these CPU trays. I'm very happy that I can sort and store my CPU collection now. And finally, a big thank you to all my Patreons. If you want to support my work, you can head over to Patreon and pick one of the tiers or sign up for free. There's a free tier where I'm posting free content from time to time. So if you want to browse around, be my guest. And this is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for your time. Take care and bye-bye.